Joining us now, New York Times chief White House correspondent and MSNBC political analyst Peter Baker, and Middle East director for the International Communities Organization, Gershon Baskin. He initiated the peace negotiations that led to the release of Israeli soldier Gilad Shalit in 2011. Thank you both for joining us. Peter, let's take just a listen to what National Security Advisor John Kirby said last hour.
We are at a critical stage right now. We got a response from Hamas. Now, Director Burns is working through that, trying to assess it, working with the Israelis. I mean, my goodness, folks, I don't know that it gets any more sensitive than right now.
Peter, what more do we know about how the U.S. is handling this situation and the kind of work behind the scenes from the White House?
Well, of course, you mentioned the president talked with the King Jordan tomorrow. He's going to I talked with Bibi Netanyahu today. He's going to speak and host the King of Jordan, Abdullah, tomorrow at the White House. Bill Burns is in Israel right now trying to work on this. He's come from Doha, where he was meeting with the Qataris, who are the intermediaries with Hamas. What we seem to have here is, in effect, a counter proposal by Hamas, as opposed to them accepting something that Israel has accepted. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we have a deal yet in the offing, but they have at least proposed something that is being taken at least somewhat seriously on the initial end as they take a look at it the other side. And the idea is basically the main crux of the disagreement is how long this ceasefire lasts. What Israel has agreed to, the United States is back, is a series of temporary ceasefires in order to release hostages held by Hamas since October 7th, and to allow some of the Palestinians to return to northern Gaza, where they have fled since the beginning of the war. What Hamas wants is a permanent end to the war. What they want is Israel to leave Gaza entirely and knock off the war altogether. Now, whether they can get to some middle ground on that, that's still a big question. But at least Hamas is not simply saying no. They are at least proposing their own version that has been blessed, apparently, they say, by the Egyptians and the Qataris as an alternative.
Gershon, Hamas really made a point to say we've accepted a ceasefire deal. In fact, our reporting is they're already celebrating this in Gaza. But NBC reports that new strikes by the IDF are also happening right now in eastern Rafah. So how real does this deal seem to you?
It's never done until it's done, and that we have to remember. Hamas did accept the deal. They were told, apparently, by the Egyptians, the Qataris, and the Americans that once a ceasefire began, it would continue. The United States has apparently, according to Khalil al-Haya, the deputy of Yahya Sinwar, has stated on Al Jazeera that the American president has promised Hamas that the war will come to an end through this deal. The government of Israel has not weighed in yet. And what we know about the government of Israel is that it's very unlikely that they will support a deal that will force them into an end to the war. I think what we're seeing is a challenge by the Israeli government right now to the Egyptians, the Qataris, the Americans, and Hamas by sending tanks into Rafah right now as we're speaking. There's a barrage of tanks entering in eastern Rafah, the area that Israel called on Palestinians in Rafah to clear out early this morning, and there is a battle going on right now, which is perhaps an attempt by Netanyahu to sabotage the deal before he has to bring it to his cabinet.
So NBC is reporting, according to a senior Arab source, that this deal would stop military operations and would include 3 phases that are each 42 days long in terms of hostage releases. One Israeli hostage would be traded for 33 Palestinian prisoners based on seniority of detention in Israeli prison. Gershon, would this be a reasonable proposal for Israel to accept 7 months now into this war?
It's a loss for Israel, but what we have to do is to stop speaking about winners and losers in this war, because there are no winners. Everyone has lost here. The big loss for Israel is not the deal that it's making with Hamas, but the fact that the Israeli government has refused to put forward a political endgame to the war, because Hamas cannot be defeated militarily. At least the idea of Hamas cannot be defeated militarily. And if there is no political alternative for Hamas to take over the Gaza Strip the day after the war, then Israel has lost the negotiations and lost the war with Hamas, because Israel will end the war, withdraw from Gaza, and Hamas will still be there. And this is a big mistake on the part of Netanyahu, the Israeli government, and anyone who's had a part in the negotiations.
So how much pressure is Netanyahu under right now inside Israel when it comes to reaching some kind of an agreement?
Well, the protesters are out in the streets. The families are out on the streets. They're calling for millions to take to the streets to force the government into a deal. But Netanyahu's cabinet cannot pass this deal. They have already said that they would not support a deal like the one that's on the table. Well, Netanyahu faces the end of his political life or saving the Israeli hostages. That's what it comes down to right now. Is Netanyahu going to act in the interest of the country, or is he going to act in his own political self-interest?